Hey everybody, how are you guys doing? Thanks so much for joining us today. We have another special guest today, another ambassador from Geekoto. If you guys haven't done it yet, please come, go subscribe, follow us, and ring that bell. We're going to be putting a lot more stuff here in 2023, so we're excited to share with all of you guys with all this. But today we have a very special guest. He's actually local to the DFW area, which is where we're based out of. We're based out of Grand Prairie. Yeah, he is a Geekoto ambassador, great businessman, great photographer, and glad to say that we've become good friends, for many years. So we're going to introduce Mr. Teshorn Jackson today. What's up, man?
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. How are you doing? How's everything going?
Things are great. I'm here. It's still early. It's noon. I guess it's noon o'clock now.
It's noon, man. Yeah. It's noon. So, I knew you were a little, hesitant at first on whether we were going to be drinking tequila at noon. So I was like, no worry, not to worry. We won't be doing that. But you brought us some awesome stuff, man. What is it? What's this again?
It's Vitamalt with ginseng. It's a Caribbean staple.
Nice. And this is ginger, non-alcoholic beverage, correct?
Correct, yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a manly drink.
Yeah. So let's start off really quick, man. Where you're based, you're from Dallas, you're from the DFW area. What is it that you are about? Like, what brought you, how long have you been in the States? Were you born in the Caribbean and then came here? Are your parents? Like, I want to know a little bit about Teshorn. So tell me a little bit about you.
All right. I was born in the beautiful island of Antigua on a 6 o'clock at the crack of sunrise.
Yeah. Okay. Let's fast forward. You were born in Antigua. That's awesome.
Yes.
I was like, how long were you?
I first came to the United States when I was 8 years old. Okay. We came for like a year and a half, went back, a couple back and forth because of, immigration, like status type of stuff. Mm-hmm. But we came final when I was 16. We came in 1996. So I've been here since, 16
awesome.
years old.
Do you go back often?
Once a year.
Once a year?
Yeah.
You have, I'm assuming you still have plenty of family there. And
not a lot, but I have enough that's there. A lot of cousins that are still there. Most of my immediate family members are no longer there.
Okay. So do the majority of them live here?
Live in the U.S.
Or in the U.S.? Yeah, that's cool. Awesome. So do you usually go to vacation? Or?
I went to vacation this summer for the first time in 10 years.
Holy smokes. Okay.
For vacation, but I'm always there to shoot a wedding or something.
Okay. All right.
Work brings me there. But for the first vacation I've had this year, last time I was there was 2011, 2012 for vacation.
That's awesome. And that's something that we're going to be talking about also. We're going to be, the purpose of doing these interviews with working photographers and people within the industry is to show the real life aspect, that it's not everything all glams and glamour and right. And sunshines and rainbows and unicorns. There's a lot that goes behind it. I know me personally, when I would see a lot of my colleagues, that were posting about being majorly, I just booked a wedding here and I hadn't booked anything and stuff like that. So you kind of get that FOMO type thing and what am I doing wrong? So, we're going to address a lot of these things through a lot of these interviews, from photographers in the industry, like yourself, about what really kind of goes on, that we all kind of go through that, right. And we're going to talk about experiences. We're going to talk about, touch little things on businesses, but more than likely, I want to get to know the photographers, the people on that. So with that said, you told us a little bit, the last time when we had Esteban, I have my script right here with many questions that we'll be talking about and stuff. So one thing, let's get this one out of the way. This is something that I'm always going to be asking is what is the one thing that you wish you knew when you first started taking photos? I would say professionally.
If I can go back, I wish someone had told me to focus on the craft and not necessarily the business. Because I understood my time is valuable. As a beginner, I was working as an architect. That was my professional background before.
Okay.
So I understood like my time is valuable. So you're gonna pay me, even if I don't know what I was doing, you're gonna pay me something. But I think I wish I would focus more so on like kind of honing on the craft side, and then worry about other stuff later. So I think I did backwards. This is my personal, opinion on it.
So were you always interested in photography? Was that something that you wanted? Oh, when I'm going to do architecture for the time being, but I want to be a photographer. Or how did you land into the
No,
into the
again, when I came to this country, my goal was to be an architect.
Okay.
I studied architecture in Antigua, technical drawing, we called it. My dad was a builder, so I grew up on construction sites as a kid. Remember, 5 years old, helped him paint. I'm pouring water to when it comes to foundation work at 5 years old. So that's the lifestyle I knew about. So I said, I'm going to study that route. And it wasn't, I also had like like in my early 20s, I had like a little, portable cameras, box cameras at Walmart.
Yeah.
I was a guy who always had one, take a picture, driving around, seeing a wreck, take a picture, and I get them developed. But photography wasn't anything I thought was something people did.
For a living?
For a living, yeah.
Okay.
I just knew that architecture was, I'm very like focused. It's architecture, that's my thing. And I went back to school again for a second degree, and I had to get some supplies at Target. And at that time, I'd been married, and I took Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, learned about negotiating. And they had a camera at Target in Arlington. And I was like, ooh, I've been studying this camera here for a while online, because I had headshots at the office. And I researched cameras for about a year. And I saw the price, and I'm like, I wonder if I can negotiate this down. I think it was actually like $500. It was a Canon Rebel XT, bob in the barrel.
Nice.
It was on display. And I asked the sales rep, hey, can I get a better price on this? And he's like, no, you can't do that. And I remember Dave Ramsey saying, I always say that's not good enough. So I told the guy, that's not good enough. He said, what do you mean? I said, I need to talk to your manager. And the manager came out, and I said, I need a better price. He's like, well, we can't. I said, yes, you can. Guess what? It's a displays model. People have touched it before. It's not brand new. I need a better price. He said, well, if you get a Target credit card, we can work something out. And I got a camera for $238.13.
Nice. And this was a digital?
Digital, yeah.
This is the digital one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I was like, I got a camera. What do I do with this now?
Yeah.
And this was October 2008.
Okay. And this was one of it came with the kit lens and
kit lens.
everything. Yeah.
1855.
Yeah.
And I had no clue.
F4?
Yeah. Yeah, 3.5. Yeah. And I was like, okay, what do I do with this thing? But I wasn't thinking about like down the road. I just knew I would want to practice negotiating, and the price was worked for me.
So you started in photography more with the business sense, which is what a lot of photographers actually don't do. A lot of them, there's one thing that I learned is there's great artists and there's great businessmen, but it's very rare to find someone that is both. Like me myself, I didn't consider myself either one of them. I wasn't a good businessman or I wasn't a good artist. But I did like, photography. I started off as a painter, like I mentioned before, but business was so it just sounds like you were already you already had that business mind, that business sense of, from the beginning, to get that, which I can definitely see that now, because like I said, one of the things that I highly respected of you was how your business personality didn't really kind of cross over onto your artistic side. But yet you were still very business savvy when it came to the, to everything. And we'll talk a little bit about how we met and the reaching out and stuff like that and all that. We'll get into the little nitty-gritty details and stuff like that. What do you shoot with currently? You started with the Rebel.
I started with the Rebel. And I switched over to Nikon.
Okay.
I tried Sony 4 season and
Nikon.
I signed say it the way they say it. Nikon.
Yeah.
Then I tried Sony 4 season. I sold it to some guy in Toronto. Okay. I was like, yeah, this is.
You just weren't a Sony fan, or
it just I like the cameras have to feel good in my hands. I like it has to feel good for me, and I just didn't feel organic.
That's 2-0, man. Esteban also is very anti Sony. So Sony, come on, man, you guys got to step it up. But
and I came across Fuji in 2016, I believe. And my friends made fun of me for buying that model. It was an entry-level model, but I'm very analog. I'm not high-tech. And I like the way it felt. I'm like, okay, I like the way the file's processed. And I got, my taste of Fuji then, but I was still a Nikon guy.
Okay.
And last May I was in Mexico on my anniversary. I had a dream. I sold my Nikon gear and bought Fuji. So I'm like, that's a strange dream. So I text one of my friends who's actually a Fuji ambassador. I said, hey man, I just had a dream. I sold my Nikon gear, and when Fuji, he's like, do that shit. I'm like no rational, logical person does that.
Yeah, just
I'm heavily invested. But I'm also one who believes in dreams. A lot of things come to me in my dreams.
Okay.
And I sold all my Nikon gear and went Fuji.
Just cold turkey.
Cold turkey.
Man, okay. That's bold. I mean,
It's strange.
yeah.
But if you know me, you know I'm strange.
No, absolutely. But that's one of the things, one of the things that I think a lot of photographers, hesitate with, me, myself included, is the fact that, you hesitate sometimes and you miss opportunities. It's happened to, and not only to myself, but I know a lot of people that it's happened to. And one, I've been I've been Canon forever. I've shot other cameras, and to me, it's one of those, the best camera is the one you have in your hand, plain and simple. Right. When it comes to it. But yes, I have shot Canon for a very long time. So it would be for me to be like, wake up one day and just kind of sell everything would be, so that's ballsy. That's
yeah. People thought I was going crazy. I'm like, I just sold everything.
And so let's see. Do you once you switched over, to everything, was there like a learning curve? Was everything pretty straightforward? Did you, how did you practice? How did you? I mean, because obviously by this time you already had clients. You were already shooting with Nikon and stuff like that. How did you?
Well, because remember, in 2016 I bought the little entry level model. So even 2017 I bought another upgraded entry level model.
Okay.
I got practice with that. So I got familiar with the ergonomics of it all, where things were. So when I got the XT4, I was like, okay, I'm pretty familiar. But I was in the studio one day, and there's a setting I didn't know about. And I'm trying to focus. I'm like, I can't see anything. I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
So I text a friend of mine, another Fuji ambassador. I was like, hey, Fred, I can't see what's on my screen. He's like, you got to turn this one thing off. I'm like, oh, okay. So other than that, that was the only thing that I ran into.
The hiccup that you kind of ran into. Cool. And it always helps when you have somebody that, is knowledgeable in what you've kind of jumped into, whatever, to, for them to. And that's the one thing that I really have noticed about you is that you have built a really awesome community of photographers. People, I mean, you guys get together what it seems like once a week and just kind of chat, about not just photography stuff, but just stuff in general, about the world and stuff. And that's really admirable, for one, because I wish there were more people that do that. Esteban did the same thing, with this the group, Facebook group that he has and stuff like that. So that's something that me, being an old fogey and been in the industry for longer, that I didn't really do that until later on in life in my career. So that's pretty awesome. Tell me a little bit more about the groups, the friends, the friendship that you have built and stuff like that.
So in 2012, WhatsApp came out in 2012, and friends of mine in the Caribbean, we were always communicating on Facebook. When WhatsApp came out, we saw that chat group, and we talked every day, and we just grew. But then in 2014, I noticed on Facebook there wasn't any Black wedding photographer groups. There's one Black Facebook group where it's just portrait photographers, and we're all in the main Facebook wedding photographers group, advanced Facebook wedding photographers. I noticed that we would ask questions, and the questions wouldn't get answered. And I'm like, wow, I wonder why that's the case. And I noticed other educational platforms would have speakers, but I couldn't see anybody that looked like me. I was like, yo, this is mad strange. So I reached out to one of them to be, I won't name them out. And I said, hey, I'm noticing that a lot of your photographers have speaking, no Black people up there. And they gave me a corporate answer. And if you know me, I get very rebellious.
Yeah.
I created a Facebook page called Something for Diversity.
Okay.
Before that was even a conversation. And someone said, you might want to take that down.
Yeah.
And they said they had one person on it before, and I was like, okay. And come out, he was like one of my friends, realized. And I said, maybe I could do something more constructive. And I created a Facebook group called Black Wedding Photographers. Because I asked, who are these Black photographers around the world that shoot weddings? I knew one in Houston. I didn't know, I think I knew one up here. I didn't know. So I'm like, if I don't know as a Black person, how can the rest of the world know? And I was like, maybe I can, kind of source. And a friend of mine in Houston, Daniel, we said, let's kind of find out who these people are. And slowly but surely we start building it. And I got a lot of hate for doing that.
For building the group.
Because they were like, it's racist. How come I can't join it? Even there are black people who said, oh no, we don't want to be part of this. We don't be, if it's all exclusively black people, we can't be a part of that. I'm like, that's fine. You can leave. But we built something to where like our careers, I would say if they're black and on stage, shooting weddings, more likely they came out of that space.
Yeah.
People like blossom and groom from it and build their brands, establish their brands nationally and globally from it.
That's awesome. So you were ahead of the curve of currently what's kind of happening now, which is fantastic. Because you were right. I mean, there was a lot of, now things have changed, a little bit. You still kind of get that pushback, in some organizations and stuff like that,
Right.
But it has changed.
Oh, it's definitely, yeah.
So it has changed, a little bit.
Which was our plan. Like, we want to make sure, like, in 5 years from when we started, we want to make sure it becomes normal to see us now. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh, there's a black person over there.
Yeah. Do you guys still have that group?
It's there, but it's people post up every now and then. But the goal was to find people, come together, help grow together, and now, like, from that group, establish like other groups from it. Other conferences came out of that. So I mean, some of your favorite photographers who are black more likely came from it.
From that group.
I remember when they were amateurs, we answered all their questions. Now they're like made, made a name for themselves.
Fantastic. Yeah, and which is great because I mean, you were kind enough to like show me the group and stuff like that, and the names that at that time and the names now, that they like you said, that came out of it it's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
It really is. I mean, the amount of talent that has come out of that group has been just mind blowing. So it's really cool, and that's something that I wish wasn't so frowned upon. Even by people like, for example, like the Latin community. There's a lot of like self-hate when it comes to to stuff like that. And the backlash is like, well, you're kind of putting target on your back by doing this and stuff like that. I was like, but unfortunately, if you don't do that, nothing's ever going to change.
Right.
So that's very admirable, for sure. In that, we've got some comments coming in. Joshua Frith.
Joshua Dwayne, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he said. I wish he had a dream that you gave him $30,000.
Hey, do what I actually do yesterday, and maybe you should send me send some money to me, and I'll help you back.
There you go. And then Sir J the DJ, I am with Joshua, except it's 50,000. So
like Josh, like we talk, we're in a chat group for the last maybe 4 years.
Uh-huh.
It's a few of us, New York, Toronto.
So this is international.
So now we have like small groups out of the Facebook group. Now we have our own chat group, but we talk just about every day over the last 4 or 5 years.
Awesome. And the majority of the talks that you guys have is also business related or photography?
It's everything.
Okay. So are the people in here, are they mainly photographers, or do you have?
They're all photographers.
They're everything's.
I think like 6 or 7 of us in there. In fact, back in July, I flew to New York. Josh flew to Toronto. The guy in Toronto flew to Dallas. So we did like a circle in each other's city, state, country without even knowing it.
Yeah.
And the same day.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
It just happened.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit, and we're gonna. I want to talk about influences and stuff like that. People that have influenced you, both in photography and the business aspect of it, and just in general. Like who's is someone who has influenced you that you can say, what, I have gotten great. Let's start with photography. Mm-hmm. Who's been a big influence, to you in photography?
I think it changes over time. Like starting off, one of my close friends, Lyle, he goes by Scroll Vision out of Indiana, a guy from Trinidad. He was in the original chat group. He would always push me and critique me. In fact, I had a shoot one day at Grapevine Lake, had a model. I've always wanted to photograph her as an amateur, and I was still in my growth phase. And shoot went well, went home. upload the files in Lightroom, exported some unedited JPEGs, and I sent them to the chat group. I'm excited. I'm like, yo, like I had this dope shoot, man. I always want to shoot this model. And he said something like, you shoot with your cell phone now? I'm like, huh? He said, you shot with a cell phone. And I was like, what? And I was hurt. But I was like, wait, take yourself out of it and see what he's actually saying. And he's just saying like, it's cool, but it doesn't look like finished. It doesn't look like professional. And I said, okay, if he didn't care, he would just say, okay, great. But he cared enough to say something. And I had another shoot the same lake a few weeks later. And I said, no matter what I shoot, it better not look like a cell phone shot. So he kind of influenced where I saw things over time. Even Josh, I looked up to him, G-Day, these people in my community. But the one person I can say who really helped the way I see things was Rosia Vega.
Okay.
I was at a Fearless conference with her in 2018 November, and for the first time I saw someone present themselves on stage, and you could feel who they were in their images. I got chills watching her. I'm like, this is what photography should be like.
This was the Phoenix one, right?
No, this is Puerto Rico.
Oh, the Puerto Rico one.
Yeah.
Okay, that was
the final one.
The final, yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, this is what things should feel like. And it's hard to produce work like that because it's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, like watching her, I'm like, when the goosebumps started, I'm like, man, I want to be able to get to that level one day. If not, just be a fraction of that, I'll be satisfied.
With the imagery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because who she was as a person, it manifests itself in the images. It correlated with her life story.
Yeah, it's so hard to, because like I said, there's such amazing talent out there that, when you find someone like that can just, and there's a few, I was like Vegas one, I was like Rico, Citlali Rico is one that I highly admire as well.
I love her.
Very passionate about what they do. Juaristi, Aguilar, they're all people that just kind of, pour their heart and souls into the images. And what's funny is that the majority of these came out of the Fearless movement.
Just really,
yeah. It's really the Fearless movement had a really kind of epic, time when it was part of it. There were so many. A lot of people were looking at it because they were trying to the PJ and stuff like that. Photojournalistic style, which became, in my opinion, a very lazy style because it wasn't truly what it was. Now, who's the founder of the Fearless Foundation, Fearless Photographers, he was a photojournalist, and many of the people that were there were true photojournalists, that worked, in newspapers and did major stories and stuff like that. And they carried that kind of over, but then it kind of started watering down a lot of things for many photographers. However, the amount of talent that was in there, was so crazy with some of the educators, some of the presenters. Did you ever go to one of the Fearless? I know you went to the conference. Did you ever go to any of the workshops?
Yeah, I went to the January. There were different parts to it. There was like regular Fearless. The foundation, and then there was foundation. Yeah, and then there was foundation first. Foundation first was a new one they decided to create for those on a budget, but it was similar material, just a shorter time frame. So I did that one in 2017.
Yeah, because the foundation, what's it, workshops? Foundation
workshop, yeah.
Workshop, right? Was, it was a hardcore, multiple day, kind of sunrise to sundown type of thing where you had a coach, right? You had a coach that I've never personally been. I was invited by Weave very many times, but either schedule didn't, and also, like you said, budget wise, it just didn't fit.
Yeah, it's expensive.
It was. But it was also from everyone that went to it said that they were incredible, that they were life changing in so many things. But just from the little bit that I do know with that, a lot of people came out very re-energized, seeing the world in a different way, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
I enjoyed the process. I think the downside to it with me, I became more, I don't say insecure, but because when your eyes become open, you start seeing the world differently when it comes to photography. And now you hold yourself to a standard like, I know better. Why am I not producing what I've been taught? So then you become more critical of yourself.
Okay.
Like it's hard. Sometimes even if you see my Instagram, someone asked me like a couple weeks ago, do you still shoot weddings? Yeah, I shoot weddings all the time, but I don't post anything because I become so critical of myself that, because I always go back to my critique with Tyler working, and Tyler and Candace Cusick were they did the feedback for me.
Yeah.
And also goes back to that, like, I know better. Why am I not doing better? And I look at them like, if I look at objectively, it's like, okay, it's fine. But that critical side of me, I become very critical of myself.
And Tyler Workin, for the people that don't know, he's an amazing photographer based out of Kansas City. And it's Workin, WRKEN.
Yeah, WERKIN.
WER, okay. Again, I'm very, happy to say that we have a really good friendship, and I've seen him as an educator, I've seen him as a photographer. And did he, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he take over the foundation workshops or the Fearless?
I remember doing something
like that, where he's heavily involved with it now. I think they were either trying.
I think they're rebooting it, yeah,
rebooting and stuff like that. I know there's Friends of Fearless, which we're going to be at in January, and those were for people basically when the Fearless conference went away. There were so many people that were kind of bummed out.
Right.
So they brought back, which was the Friends of Fearless, which still has the same kind of mentality and bringing in. Photographers, and this year is in Denver, if I'm not mistaken, and we'll be there. We're supporting that.
I'll be in Africa. I can't go again. Every time it's there, I'm always out of the country.
Yeah,
because it's around my birthday every year.
Well, yeah, it's and you take these epic trips for your birthday every year. So
Ilana, take it to another country around my birthday. I'll be there.
Yeah. So with that said, I wanted to kind of mention Tyler because he was one of your coaches. With that, again, so we talked about who influenced you in your work. Do you business, because you're business savvy, you're a business person. I've known you for many years, and business has always been in the forefront from what I've known from you on that. Like, who has influenced you in that aspect?
Let's see, short list. Robert Kiyosaki, Tim Ferriss. What's his name? I know all the books. I might give the I get the books and you can kind of pick from there.
Yeah.
All right. So the 4 Hour Work Week, Rich Dad Poor Dad, The E-Myth Revisited, Richest Man in Babylon, Psycho-Cybernetics. What's the other one? Yeah, those are my. I think was that 5 I listed? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you get those authors, like E-Myth Revisited is like a really, really, really good for me, and I struggle with the concept as a wedding photographer because it falls out of alignment with the philosophy behind that.
With the photography?
Yeah, having to run a photography business because you are the technician.
Okay. All right, I can see that. Have you? And I know I've mentioned this one to you before, and I mentioned have you read Rework?
It's on my shelf. I haven't finished it yet.
Okay.
It's actually next to my bed.
Yeah.
Yes, you told me about that one and Steal Like an Artist, and I got both.
Yeah, and both of those are every person that I see when we talk about books, I was like, WeWork is a book that you have to get as a business owner. It's a great book. So we'll talk about that, later on, and stuff like that. So we're talking a little bit about your epic trips, for your birthday or whatever. Do you do this every year?
Since turning 40.
Okay. And how old are you now?
I'm only 42. So just
so
the
last 2 years. All right, so the last 2 years. Do you have an end game with that? Like, I'm going to do this till I'm 105.
Till I can afford to keep going.
Yeah. All right, cool. That's yeah. All right, so we're going to switch it up a little bit. Guys, if you guys have questions or anything, please don't hesitate to answer. We're here. We're gonna try to answer as many questions as we can with this. I'm gonna be asking them questions because I'm very interested, like I said. But you know what? Let's go back a little bit. Like, do you remember how we met?
Yeah, I was a newer photographer. I went to a bridal show and I remember seeing a big image on the wall a couple in what appears to be like a buggy cart, like they were like in Europe somewhere, and had like what's it called, the helmets or the goggles, and I was like, and I saw Tree or something. I was like, what name is that? Like, and I said, who's that person? And I found out who you are. I said, I'm gonna reach out because my philosophy is, what's the worst that can happen? I always reach out. If you want something, go get it. And same, long story about that. But I remember reaching out to you, and I think the email was like, hey, I'm trying to learn something. You teach me something along the sorts? I think you said something about like payment something or a busy something. And I was like,
About what?
Like sometime mentorship something I think you're doing or something. I remember the response was not, oh, sure, come on over and I'll teach you something.
Okay. Yes, yeah. So yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit more because.
And I was like, oh man, I can't come to this guy's place. I was like,
well, for one, I didn't have a place. I worked out of my house. But yeah, okay, and then I clearly remember we were in Vegas the first time we met in person.
Yeah,
we were in Vegas, and
at a Fearless party.
It was at a Fearless party, yeah. And I my wife and I were going downstairs. You were coming up or whatever, and we met halfway up the stairs. And you were like, hey, what's up? Like a really cold, like I was like, you're an ass, like look, like I was like, okay, I reached out and you just kind of blew me off. And I turned around and I remember looking at you and I didn't want to mispronounce your name. And I was like Teshorn, right? And your eyes just like lit up. Like I was like, oh my God. I was like, dude, I'm so sorry I didn't get back to you on this, whatever. And then after that, you were like, oh, cool. And your next words were like, I thought you were an asshole. And I was like, well, I am, but not that. Yeah,
because it was like 4 years later.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was, and it definitely was. It was so, but it was again, it was something. It was really interesting the first time that we met in person. But I still have the emails. As a matter of fact, I still have the emails from that time when you kind of reached out with that. But I'm glad to say that I didn't leave too bad of a taste.
Yeah, I was like, man, this man ignored me, man. Trying to.
Yeah, but you knew who. But again, I knew. Who,
but I was shocked you knew who I was. Because we had never met before.
Yeah.
So I was like,
because for one thing is anyone, and here's the thing that I kind of struggled a lot with, in situations like that. It's really hard. I did it myself. I took workshops. I reached out, and you get blown off. Mm-hmm. I mean, you get blown off all the time. Especially. And I had the same kind of mentality, like, oh, these people are jerks, it wouldn't mind. But I did answer, and I tried to answer every single time that anybody kind of reached out to me. And that's why I kind of developed the mentorship thing. I was like, I was like, hey, we can do like a mentorship thing. And then later on, you kind of understood where it was like, okay, well, if I'm going to give my time a little bit, we have to kind of, I have to supplement that income that I'm going to, and nowadays, with so much information that's online and stuff like that, that's the number one thing that I always tell photographers. I was like, dude, there's a ton of information out there. Then from there, instead of reaching out, if you want to reach out to a photographer, say, hey, if you need somebody to carry your bags for you, I'm here. Mm-hmm. I was like, but it is pretty difficult to reach out to a working photographer and be like, hey, teach me something. Because you do have to understand that you kind of have to compensate all the years of learning that they did to get to that point. And it's not the fact. Now, there are a ton of jerks out there and a ton of people who think that they're better than they are. Let's be honest. Right. But also, there's a lot of entitled people that think that, oh, I'm reaching out, I deserve you to teach me. So that's why it's always kind of one of those things where it was like, I love sharing. I love teaching. I did it WPPI imaging for many, many years. I had workshops like you yourself do and stuff like that. So we love teaching, but when you bring it out of that that aspect of it, and you have so many people kind of answering, it kind of gets redundant,
Right.
you know, over and over. And that. Do you get a lot of that? Do you get people reaching out to you?
So many people ask me, and I'm always mindful of like when I was an amateur, so I'm always like make sure I treat them like I want to be treated.
Not like the way I treated you. Is that what you say? Is that what you say?
I mean, man, you know, keep it a buck, right? They say, but no, I just because people ask me, but I'm always curious about what is their intent. Like there's one guy reached out to me. All he wanted to do was build his wedding portfolio off of my work.
Okay.
He didn't want to hold no lights, carry no bag. He's like, no, I don't do that. I appreciate his honesty.
Yeah.
He said, I want to shoot the weddings you shoot, and I build my portfolio.
Oh, so he just like straight out the gate, just
because he's a popular person in the area.
Okay.
But he wasn't shooting weddings. And I was like, interesting. Okay, well, you know, I won't respond to that message no more.
Yeah.
But people ask me all the time. I was like, hey, you want to come hold some lights? If you want to learn, I can hold these lights. You can learn that way as well. Because when I held lights for people, like it was a lot of learning taking place. I'm like, okay, I see how the image was made now. I'm being part of the recipe. But they're like, nah, I don't want to hold lights. I want to actually shoot. They get caught up in the shooting. I'm like, if I sent you to the room by yourself to shoot, if you don't have the experience, you're going to bring me back crap that I can't use.
Yeah.
So come in the room with me and watch how the images are made. Hold these lights to make it happen. And it takes a special person to really understand, like, that's a great experience right there.
Yeah. And that's one of the big things. That's one of the big things when a lot of photographers do reach out, you know, to a photographer. I don't know if many of them understand the fact that like this is your livelihood. This is your business. Mm-hmm. So you can't just kind of like randomly just pick, you know, someone, you know, at random and trust them to deliver images that you're going to give this to your clients. So it's always good to be like, yeah, if you want to come over and, you know, and hold some lights, or, you know, if you want to bring a camera, that's fine, and take a couple of shots there. Yeah. But you're not going to be a primary photographer. I'm not going to give you, you know, this. All of the photographers that work with me were, you know, like my brother, you know, Javier. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, you know, I showed him, you know, the ropes with it, and he was my second shooter. You know, before that, we had many other second shooters. Then all of them learned, you know, for a few months about, you know, how I did things, whatever, before we started kind of working, you know, with me. Just for the mere fact that like this is my job. I have to be able to deliver something. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if a lot of photographers understand that. A lot of the newer photographers that are trying to get into
it's about self, man.
Yeah, into the industry that hey, listen, a lot depends on this. Like these people are paying us a lot of money, you know, to capture the most important day of their lives to this point. You know, so you know, if you guys are watching, please be mindful when you do reach out to a photographer. Be mindful of the fact and respectful that this is what they do for a living. This is their business. So if you don't get a quick response for one, or if you do, you know, and they do invite you to come over, you know, just understand that you're not their priority. Their priority is the work, it's their clients, you know, that they have to deliver, you know, this for. Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, it's just be mindful. You know, I know people like to focus on self, but just, you know, be a giver. Because once you're a giver and the person receiving it acknowledges that, you never know how far you can go from that. Opportunities will definitely come.
Yeah. We got a couple of comments here. Drew Lord Photography.
Oh, he's one of my guys there.
Okay. Man, I learned so much from holding lights from Teshorn. Took me a while to separate that role and shoot beside him, which is exactly what you were saying a minute ago. Teshorn Jackson.
She's a stalker in Atlanta. My little sister.
I was going to say, I was like, all right. And her comment was, because people don't want to learn the ingredients to the recipe. They just want the finished product. Very true.
Very true.
Very, very true, yeah. Joshua Frith, Teshorn, can I second shoot for you in Antigua and Europe?
Well, let's book a wedding there, bro.
All right. Can I come along?
Sure, come hold these lights.
Perfect. I'll hold the lights. Like I said, stop it.
Josh is a troll, by the way.
I can see that. Yeah. Willie and Kim, Teshorn is my mentor.
Oh, I'm so humbled. You need bigger aspirations.
That I would second that. Yeah, definitely.
He had a lot of lights too.
Yeah, cool. So are the majority when you go when you shoot, in other countries, in the Caribbean or whatever, do you shoot these weddings by yourself? Or
No, it depends on where and the type of wedding.
Okay.
Because I had one in Guyana. It wasn't a large one, so I shot that solo. When I go home to Antigua, there's enough talent on the island, and I'll just use a local person to be my second shooter. One of the guys I grew up with anyway, who's also in my chat group.
Okay. Which is someone that I actually, something that I always kind of, and I learned this from Citlali, speaking of that we were talking about earlier. A lot of the times, for example, Citlali is based out of Cancun, so she does a lot of destination weddings. They're destinations for clients, not for her. And one of the things that I didn't know, and I was extremely, humbled to learn from her, is that, the hotels are the ones that are making bank.
Yep.
Nobody else. I would like from the wait staff to just local photographers, people from around there are making just crumbs out of anything. So I was always, when I learned that, I did the same thing. When I couldn't have a second shooter with me, I would try to hire somebody that was local. Obviously they try to, the resource and stuff, they try to put blocks around all of that. Well, if you're going to bring somebody from the outside that is local, there's a fee, and there's all this. And what a lot of photographers don't know or understand about, the situation is that the client also has leverage on this. And this is like, hey, we're already giving you thousands and thousands of dollars. I was like, if you can't just overlook bringing one person in, they're not staying here. They're not in any of the stuff. I was like, they're just here to capture a wedding. I was like, then we need to look for a different place. And that was something that I always kind of told my clients. I was like, hey, to save money in that aspect, instead of, my second shooter cannot make it, I'm going to hire somebody. And obviously the local people that I worked with were people that I have worked with before or were referred to by local photographers that I knew of the area and stuff like that. So I learned that. And in turn, when I did hire somebody, I paid them the wages that I would pay a second shooter. Just because they're from a different country does not mean that you can take advantage of that situation either. So, and anytime that I went, outdoors, trust me, people talk. And if you are a scumbag, they will tell, So thankfully I was never, anytime that I needed somebody else, like, oh yeah, so-and-so, I can't make it, they refer to somebody else. And I always had a great, but again, I had to learn that from a photographer about what was going on, in that. So it's awesome to hear that you get like local talent as well to help out.
The cost to flying to Antique from Dallas, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm like, sometimes I have to like go to JFK to fly down because it's cheaper. But I'm not going to it doesn't make financial sense to bring somebody from here to fly down with me.
Yeah.
I got folks I grew up with who shoots well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's always awesome. Do you have a set kind of what you pay a second shooter?
Yeah, it's the same standard. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome. All right, cool. Let's see if I guess the Joshua Frith retracted a comment, so I'm wondering what that was. Let me see. Marcos Valdez says hi.
Hey, Marcos.
So, and again, guys, if you guys are watching live or whatever, please, feel free to send us comments, messages. We'll try to get to as many as we can while we're live on here. All right, cool. Let's change it up a little bit. Let's talk a little bit more. You have multiple businesses, correct?
I have multiple. Yeah.
Yeah, you have multiple businesses, and you're always kind of, thinking. Every time that we talk about something, there's always those wheels are always turning. There's all those wheels. Recently, you just had you had a pretty scary experience.
Yeah.
That kind of got those wheels turning again. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Or?
I was it 2 weeks ago? I was shooting Mindy, Indian ceremony, and a very tight space. And so we took our shoes off to begin with. And I'm trying to go from one side to the next, and I stepped over the videographer's light stand, and my big toe got caught. And instead of me falling forward, like I twisted it and I fell backwards, landed on my back. And I laid there, and I looked to my right, there's the fireplace, like I said, the brick part. I'm like, had I hit my neck or my head there, that could have been tragic.
Yeah, we would have had to reschedule this.
You know what I mean? Or be, I could have been paralyzed, for one. And I just lay there like, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not just hard work, but it's taxing on the body.
Oh, absolutely.
Accidents happen. And I keep telling myself, because again, I always have something on the stove on low. If I need to turn it up some, I turn it up. I use a lot of analogies in life. But I'm laying down my back. I'm like, I gotta work these other businesses faster because I can't keep doing this till I'm old and just great. No, it's not happening. So it's kind of put things in perspective. Like I got to work a different plan out.
Okay, and again, sometimes it takes something like that to kind of get things going. I myself, like I said, I shot a lot of salvation weddings and stuff like that. Even just normal weddings are they're very taxing on you, especially the older you get. So I did. Do you have an end game? Do you have of what, like, I don't want to be shooting weddings past this decade?
Yeah, so I give myself 5 to 7 years left in this business. Because I said
in the wedding
photography business,
not the photography.
Yeah, in the wedding photography business.
Okay.
If I have to shoot a wedding at 50 to survive, I would have failed in life.
Okay.
Because I know way too much. This land of opportunity, we can become anything you want to become. You can do anything you want to do in this country. And back home, we're not afforded these type of opportunities. So if I have to depend on a wedding photographer at 50 years old, if you see me at 50 years old shooting weddings on a regular basis, just unfriend me. Tell me I'm a failure. Let me walk the walk of shame, because
I mean, okay, but that's a
personal thing for me.
Thing. We're not saying that photographers.
Oh, no, no. I'm not throwing shade on nobody.
I was gonna say, like, bro,
I plant some shade trees around life, but no, it's my personal thing because I know too much to be having to do this at 50. Mm-hmm. If I say I want to shoot at a wedding at 50 because I choose to do it, not because I have to do it. Mm-hmm. No, I mentioned the E-Myth Revisited.
Yeah.
For the business to operate without me is what I want to get to.
Okay.
If I have to physically do the work, I own a job. Mm-hmm. I want to do it because I feel like doing it, not because I have to do it.
Okay. All right. So we're not throwing any shade.
No, not yet.
Yeah. Because personally, I do know some. I had the same goal. I did not want to be shooting weddings. I didn't want to be out of the photo industry. I did not want to shoot weddings past 50. Mm-hmm. Because it's very hard, on the body. It's just, so I had the same kind of goal in that aspect. But, I've seen photographers, colleagues, friends of mine who are well past 50 and they are rocking it. And I'm like, dude, more power to you.
Absolutely.
I was like, you guys are freaking rock stars. So I was like, I can't do it. I'm fragile. I just can't do it. Yeah. So definitely make sure that was a personal goal on that. Oh, yeah. And
weekends, we can like assets now, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it away to some, some lovely couples out there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I love weddings, man. I love them. It's fantastic. It's a new adventure every weekend and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely very demanding, type of work, as much as people don't realize. Cool. So with some of these businesses, the other day, and I don't know if we can talk about this.
You can.
Okay. The other day, you came to our offices, and it's great that you're local because you literally just could stop here anytime, and we love having you here. The other day, you came by, pick up some lights. You bought some lights, and you brought this little. I mean, I don't even. It's like a marmalade. Like I don't because when I took it home and I tried to explain to my wife, and I was like, she was like, well, how do you eat it? I was like, well, he talks about toast, and I was like, but I just took a spoonful and just ate it. And so, but I was like, she was like, but what is it? And I was like, it's sea moss. And I was like, okay, and I you're very into like nutritious eating. One of the reasons why we're not doing tequila is because you're not a drinker, correct?
Right.
Which is awesome. I'm not a very heavy drinker, but I have to have my tequila, once in a while. But you're also very into like natural foods,
Right?
And this was one of them, something that I had never heard about or anything. And by the way, I finished. But what is it? Is it a marmalade?
Yeah, no. So sea moss is from the ocean.
Yes.
It has like 92 of the nutrients the body needs. Like everything you think about for the body, it's in sea moss. And so I got shipment in from Antigua, and I process it, and I add tropical flavors to it. You got the papaya ginger one,
Correct.
and it's just all natural stuff.
Yeah.
It's non-GMO.
And it's not. And this was something that I didn't
looks like
know.
applesauce.
Yeah, it does. It looks like that's why it was so hard for me to describe. Like I was like, is it a sauce? Is it a marmalade? Is it, like jelly? Like I didn't know. And then also, I had to kind of clarify that like this is not seaweed, it's sea moss.
Correct.
Which is totally completely different, and I'm completely ignorant when it comes to that stuff. And but yeah, I did a little bit more research after that, on there, and man, for one, it was delicious, which I need a new batch, just saying now. Which you said you were making some more stuff like that. So what got you into this, into the more natural type of foods and just in general, like life?
Growing up in the Caribbean, like I was telling my wife about a couple weeks ago, I said I noticed as a kid, I didn't see a lot of people dying of cancer or having diabetes issues. A lot of the typical health issue in the United States, they're not things I grew up with back home. And I realized that's because we ate better. A lot of things were natural, it was clean, and it's usually handpicked yourself. And I've always kept it in my mind, like, I know if you take care of the body thanks you. You can't stop getting hit by a bus, right? Mm-hmm. But if you can take care of the body, like when I did that, it was a 53-day cleanse. And I realized no sugar whatsoever. And that was like...
Wait, so what you had has like not even added sugar?
No processed, no added sugar. And the hardest part was not even... I went a week without fruits. Because when I had the itch for like crackhead, like I need some sugar, I had to get an apple. But a friend said, no fruits at all for a week. I'm like, yo, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And
I tried to do that. I lasted like half a day.
It's hard. Like I can go without the processed sugar. I can go without the meat, all that stuff.
I'm trying to do the like no processed sugar, like no added sugars.
But it's hard to buy groceries because everything has sugar in it, processed sugar. So I had to read the labels every time. But doing that for those 53 days, like I had a mental clarity that I didn't know I needed. A lot of things were revealed because when you take care of the body and the mind, all that reveals, a lot of things happen. So I'm always like, okay, let me drink my sea moss. Let me take my sea moss. Let me take my soursop leaves. When I go home to Antigua, I always bring back stuff. FDA's like, we want to tax it, but no, it's all natural. I believe in eating from the ground.
Okay, and you have your own garden.
I have a garden.
Yeah, because I see you, and especially a lot of the posts that you do with you and your son. And you guys are always harvesting and stuff like that, which is awesome.
There's nothing better than going out and picking your own stuff.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, I grew up in a farm. We don't have I'm too lazy to do that, but my wife, we'll probably do something next year because she's really she would love something like that. So, hopefully, if she's hearing this, that's not a promise. That's just something that we want to, maybe kind of move to. So it was really kind of inspiring to do that. Like I said, because of that, I did try to cut down on added sugars, and processed sugars and stuff like that. I couldn't do the fruit thing, and I couldn't do like a full sugar cleanse because I would probably die. I know it would be very, very hard, but hopefully, but definitely, it's definitely inspiring to see. Do you do this? Like, you told me obviously you feel you had like this mental clarity. Do you think that transferred over into your business life as well? Did you see any change with that?
There's some of that in there because I think like at COVID opened up a lot of people's eyes, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we're not promised anything here. And if I can take care of myself, maybe I can just add a little longer to that. But when you're laying on your back, you could damage yourself. You have to realize if you can't work today, how are you going to take care of your family?
Right.
I mean, people have no idea.
Yeah.
If you lost your arms, you have no disability insurance if you don't have that. How are you going to provide? So you have to think of another way. That's why I'm like, let me take care of my body, take care of the body, take care of the mind. That way I stay sharp, I can keep doing things. If I need to create another business opportunity, I can do that because my mind is sharp. When I had that clarity, I created another business in June. It's going well right now because I'm not afraid to take a risk anymore.
And is that Turo?
Yeah, the rental car business, yeah.
The Turo, yeah, which is, again, like every time, you're definitely a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's
when it comes to it.
I want to be able to have revenue coming from different places.
Yeah.
Without having to do the real work.
is something, as a business owner, and this was something that I've always been very passionate about as well, is diversifying yourself. As a photographer, it's great, and it's great to invest in equipment and stuff like that. But again, we all get, gear syndrome, and we all want the newest and brightest and shiniest things or whatever. But sometimes as a business, it's just not a smart decision, to make. So a lot of the times I would push into that rework and a lot of these other books that would talk about diversifying your portfolio, from the business aspect of it, from investments to starting other sources of income, and stuff like that. It's something that I see that you're very passionate about, and something that has always.
I got to retire. I mean,
absolutely.
I tell my wife, like, we live in a modest, small home. I know she wants something larger. I'm like, at 42 years old, you get a $500,000 mortgage at 42. Okay, the wedding work is not going to keep going up. There's going to come a time when it goes like this. All right, I don't want to be stuck, held bondage to this mortgage. Mm-hmm. Now, if one of the companies pop off, maybe I can buy something, straight out. But I have to think like logically. We have to retire. My sister calls me El Cheapo. I don't like spending money because I have to retire. So I don't want to spend unless it's a tax benefit for me. Spend. I have to think about my future. Make sure I can retire without eating dog food to survive. Or depending on my son, to take care of his parents. No, I have to think. So people like to trick off all their money. No. I want to make sure I got stuff to leave behind, mm-hmm. and to use while I'm still here.
Did since we're talking, about stuff like that, were you into like the crypto?
Oh yeah, thing?
Because I do remember in some we had a couple of talks and stuff like that, and did you do NFTs or not?
I got a few, yeah.
You got a few NFTs. Obviously, crypto mm-hmm. was something that I knew that you were pretty passionate about. A few coins that I asked questions because I was very ignorant for a long time to it. But you, again, inspired me to do a little bit more research to the point where we started a crypto. What do you call it? You saw it. The
group?
No, the mining.
Oh, the mining. Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah. That's next level stuff.
Yeah, we did. We started, and then FTX happened, and we shut it down. We're like, nope. But again, that goes into the part of like diversifying and stuff like that. How often do you get gear?
I bought gear last May, and I bought gear yesterday, and I bought gear 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Because I told all my photographer friends, I'm not buying any gear till these XT4s die. But I bought a GFX 2-3 weeks ago, and I bought the the new model yesterday. But it's a very specific purpose.
Okay.
My wedding gear worked fine for what I do, but on my portrait side, I'm trying to step my level up some with the portrait side. That's what the GFX is specifically for. And
for studio work.
Studio portrait work. And the XH2S was a video.
Okay.
Because I'm doing more video work as well. Okay. But my XT4 just doesn't support that outside of me.
And you started using the NC60s, right? Is that what you used this weekend?
Yes, on Sunday.
Which are the little cob lights that. What did you think of those?
I like it. Yeah. Other than me putting the wrong setting on there.
Because they kept turning off.
Yeah.
And I got a text. They were like, these things keep turning off.
I was like, why do I keep turning off, man? And Let me text them real quick.
Yeah, and I saw the thing. I was like, yeah, you have them on scene, like scene mode.
But I'm not one who's like to buy a lot of gear because again, the cameras work, and I let it do what it does. But
with traveling, I mean, do you take that into consideration since you do travel? Like, obviously, if you have more gear, well, the more you have to carry, or does that?
I try to travel as minimal as I can.
Okay.
I have the wedding shoot in Africa in January, so I'm trying to decide what am I taking with me this time.
Okay. So so that's definitely something you take into consideration.
Absolutely.
And stuff like that. Cool. I lost my train of thought of what we were talking about. We were talking about
buying gear.
Oh, buying gear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct. So do you? I mean, are you leaning more into moving into the portrait work as of now? Is that something that you're thinking? Further down that's where you want.
Yeah, because I got a lot of requests for portraits, so I'm trying to. Like Sophia, right? Good friend of mine in Atlanta. She's one of our ambassadors.
Yeah, she is. She was actually the first ambassador we announced, and it was thanks to you, that we got to find her amazing talent, and we'll have her in here hopefully pretty soon. Yeah. If you guys don't know Sophia's portfolio, please look her up. Absolutely amazing. Stunning portfolio.
Yeah, I tell her all the time, if I can just because she inspires me as well.
Yeah.
When it comes to like switching out of the wedding space. Because again, I love weddings. Like I love the thrill of being at a wedding.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But I also know being in the studio, it's like I can take my time and chill.
And she's another level.
Oh yeah. She's
like her set design and just clientele are just. I'm like, I was telling my wife, I was like, I want to see if we can book. A session with her because I want to look pretty. Because her stuff is it's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, Sophia,
and she's Fuji as well.
Yes, she is.
She's a Fuji shooter. Yeah. So okay. So you were talking. You want to?
Yeah. So I want to kind of work on that some more because I had to build a set this summer.
Okay.
But she inspired me. I'm like, Sophia, we text in here and there, and I'm like, hey, here's thanks to you, I built this set for a client. But also, I've always loved film, like video work. Mm-hmm. And I was put on to some filmmakers, Fiora Films and one in Houston, Sculpted with Time. Mm-hmm. Like, primo, all right? And I'm like, I want to be able to make films like that. Because I've always loved film. Mm-hmm. I've been shooting, the first time I did shot something was 2010.
Okay.
With that was my 5D Mark II, the tank. But
I still have mine.
Oh, yeah.
Still love that thing.
People still shoot it. Yeah. That's like one of the best cameras ever made. But I want to be able to do that as well. Which is why I got the body yesterday.
Okay.
Because I know I have all the film gear. I had a film part of my business before till my team, they got tired of the pressure. Mm-hmm. So they kind of quit on me. I was like, great, I got all this gear here and nobody to work it.
Yeah. So so you got a camera specifically to film.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So, cool. That's something that it's again different, because you have a lot of photographers that they'll use the same camera once, mm-hmm. For film and shooting, but going that way, that means that you're all in when it
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
to
because
stuff like
some
that.
bodies are meant, can do both.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm like, no, what I'm trying to do, I need something just dedicated for that.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's see if we have any other. Oh, yeah, we have quite a few, as a matter of fact. William Kim said that they need a big jar, and I'm assuming that's of the
moss,
sea moss, yeah, of the sea moss. That's
He had some
going
this
on
week, last week.
And where did I just saw it, and where'd he go? Oh, it must have disappeared because I didn't see it. Good. Story events. He doesn't buy gear or bags until he absolutely has to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bags were the main thing. My wife, again, my sister calls me El Cheapo. I'd buy the most economical apparatus and make it into a working bag. And my wife was like, just buy the real thing you want anyway. Because after 6 months a year, like the handle break, she's like, how many times do I have to tell you this? So I eventually broke down and I'm like, bag is like a lot of money for this bag, yo.
Yeah.
But I got to protect my gear.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I was like, you need to pimp out those rogues.
I'll do something.
That rogue that you have.
Oh yeah. That's my travel one.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, and we'll talk about a little bit more when we release those. But there's some stuff coming on that aspect. Well, we've talked a little bit about pretty much anything. Is there anything that you're currently passionate about outside of photography that you're doing?
My CMOS.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I watch Shark Tank on a regular basis, so I got inspiration.
Yeah,
and it's one of those things.
And that was an idea from
because
Shark Tank. Right?
I watched the guy, and I'm like, $3.7 million in sales in 11 months. I'm watching Shark Tank. I'm looking at my shelf like, I got all this orders I got from Antigua here. I hate to make money off of this thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I always have a different way of kind of stepping into a different industry. That's why I gave all those samples out. Some people bought some samples from me anyway, but everyone who's bought it from me said, "Hey, I need more."
Yeah.
So more comes, at a cost. So I'm working on my labels. Yeah. So, because again, as a person who loves cooking, like those know I ran my restaurant. It was last year, but I just love.
Which is something else that we need to talk. That's what I had. What I was going to when we were talking about the CMOS. That's another thing that we need to talk about because you cook.
Yeah, I love doing that.
I was like that. Yeah, with that, like they were kind of like pop-up restaurants, right?
Right. It was like Ghost Kitchen.
Yeah, Ghost Kitchen. That's what it was. Yeah, and was it Caribbean food?
All Caribbean food. Yeah, but it's Caribbean food that you can't get at any other Caribbean restaurant.
Okay.
Like outside of your traditional, jerk chicken, rice and peas, I made a cabbage in a way that there's no way you can get this anywhere else.
Okay.
Because you go to most Caribbean restaurants, you'll get cabbage as a side, and it tastes just about the same once they season it. You go anywhere, you're gonna find the same cabbage. You came to mine, it's like I don't eat cabbage, but this is good.
Okay.
And different. I had my jerk chicken meatball sandwiches. You can't get that nowhere else. Yeah. I hadn't seen it. I had my jerk chicken pasta, which was the sauce was vegan because I can't do dairy.
Okay.
And Willie, I remember the first time he tried it, he was like, his eyes rolled back in his head. He's like, my gosh. Because I've always loved cooking and I love spices. I'm West Indian.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So you're a wedding photographer. You're a portrait photographer. You own a rental car company, with Turo. You are starting a new business with CMOS. You do a ghost kitchen.
I'm a DJ too. DJ.
Oh, I was gonna say, and you're a DJ. Mm-hmm. I was like,
well, you know what? Let me say right. I'm a music enthusiast.
Okay.
Yeah.
You wouldn't call yourself a DJ yet.
No, DJ has.
You have had a few gigs though.
Oh yeah, I had a gig this weekend. I have one this weekend. Enthusiast because DJs have he's a huge title to carry. I get paid to do what I want to do behind the turntables.
Okay.
DJs get paid to cater to the client.
Yeah. Okay.
I have rules to play. You got to like what I like. So I'm getting paid to just have fun.
Cool. We're gonna have to bring some of that stuff in here one day.
Yeah, make it happen.
And get some. Dr. Jackson says that you need to bring the ghost kitchen back, and I second that one because I never got to try it.
I've been hearing that all this week, and I'm like, yo, it's cleaning chicken is the worst.
I'm sure.
I don't eat chicken skin, so I don't serve chicken skin.
Okay. All right. Maybe twice a year. maybe twice a year.
We'll think about it.
And yeah, hey, that's all we can ask. Your fan base apparently, needs it.
I get that CMOS.
Yeah. That's definitely because I'm like I said, I'm out of mine. Are you an avid, with? Let's backtrack just a tiny bit. With all of the businesses that you have, like how do you give yourself time for your clients? Because is that still your primary business?
For now.
The photography is currently your primary business. So with everything that you kind of going, I mean, when do you sleep?
There's 24 hours in a day. There's 7 days in a week.
And you sleep how many hours a night?
I get 5 to 8 hours a night.
What?
5 to 8 hours a night.
Yeah, I guess I would too.
That's not hard.
If I would get off Warzone.
Yeah. Like I play my Oculus sometimes till 1 a.m. till the battery dies, right?
Yeah.
But it's not every day. A couple times a week. But I don't respond to clients before 9 a.m.
Okay.
And I try not to work past 6 p.m.
Okay.
Which
is something that was very difficult, for me for a very long time. And I think for most photographers, they think that you own the business. So if a client, texts you or emails you at 1 a.m, you have to answer right then and there.
Oh, hell no.
They're away, and you're right. And that was something that to me was, I didn't want to do that. So I did have, kind of office hours to be able to do that. If it was kind of an emergency or something like that,
call 911.
They texted me, I would answer, but anything past 8 o'clock, I was like, I'm not getting any.
Yeah, we get used to being Walmart, operating Walmart hours 24/7. I'm like, no, like I run a business. I ain't to treat it as such. You can't, you can text me 9 o'clock if you want to. Mm-hmm. Guess get respond in the morning.
Do you have like an in-home studio? Is your studio at home?
Oh no,
I
don't want that overhead.
Okay, so then. All right.
No, if I need to go in the studio, I'll rent a space out.
Oh, you got to space out.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one.
And which is right now, it's honestly, it's so easy to do that because there's so many that are available, at great prices, and stuff like that. So definitely having.
I wanted one, but I'm like, I don't like the committing to that mortgage rent a month.
Yeah. It's a big deal. I mean, it's a big thing. It's a huge commitment, definitely. All right, let's loosen up a little bit, guys. Please answer up. Send some questions. Over this way. Anything that you want to know, we have them here. Any advice? Any questions? Any anecdotes that you guys want to share that he hasn't shared yet? Please feel free. Again, otherwise, I've got all these things that I can ask, and trust me.
That's a lot of questions.
Oh, like that's a lot of questions.
A book report,
pretty much. Stefan's are the same things. Like, what in the world? But no, we're not gonna go down the line. I'll pick. You also teach workshops, and there's one coming up. Can we talk about that one?
Yeah, sure.
And we have one. You have one in Mexico City.
Yep.
All right. Tell me a little bit about your workshops.
All right, so I mentioned before I went to Foundation in 2017. Mm-hmm. I was shooting a wedding in West Palm Beach, December 2019 or 18, and wedding was ceremony was going good, and there's a drop came from heaven. I remember the groom. I got a photo of the groom doing this, looking up, and shortly after, torrential downpour, and people freaking out. Wind's blowing, and my first thought wasn't to protect my gear; it was to stay in the moment, document the story. And I remember asking friends of mine, if you had a wedding and it starts storming like crazy, what would you do? run protect my gear. And I noticed, and I started asking more questions. I noticed in my community, a lot of people weren't focusing on photojournalism. It was the portraits, beauty portraits, which is amazing to have anyway. And I remember talking to and I said, hey, I noticed in my community, there's not a big emphasis on storytelling. People call themselves storytellers, but they can read a storybook to themselves. And we talked about it. And I said, I want to create something for my community. I'm not trying to knock off what you did, but I want to have something similar, put my own spin on it. He gave me the green light for it because I didn't want to do something like you're stealing from him.
Yeah.
He blessed it. In fact, he said, took me to dinner when he came to Dallas. He kind of gave me some game. He said, hey, we're having the last foundation here. I want to teach you something. Come to the first class. It won't cost you anything. And he kind of shared the balance of both the beauty and the storytelling. And I said, I'll work on putting it together. So I had the first one in Los Angeles in 2020. And I put together a cast of those who also went to foundation. Brought in
as mentors?
As mentors, yeah,
Okay.
as the coaches. Linda Wells came out of Bahamas. Ralph came out of the Netherlands. Josh, G-Day, Canayo, they all came, and we had a great time. I had, it was real headache and stressful.
Heavy hitters that you brought.
Yeah, but like they held me accountable. Remember one night,
Good.
Because I went to foundation first. They went to foundation, so it's similar but different. So I was approaching from the foundation first mindset. And one night, Josh said, "No, we're not doing this." Linda said, "No, we got to do it." And I was like, "You're right." When I realized, they're seeing from when they went to, and they said, "No, we're gonna do this right." And I'm glad they did it.
Yeah.
Because it added even so much more value to the workshop. So we did that in 2020, and COVID stole 2021 from us.
Yeah.
And 22. But I went to Mexico City in January for my birthday for the first time. And I was like, there's something about this city that I like. And I said, I'll be back here before the year's done. And I went back in April. I said, you know what? The workshop is going to be here. Because people have been asking me about a workshop since the first one. And I was like, no, because putting a workshop is hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's and when you were talking about we're talking about We Win, which is the founder of the Fearless, movement, the Fearless group, the Fearless, and that's foundation, everything, which was what we were talking about earlier. So go ahead.
Yeah. So I didn't want to do it for workshop but the photographers kept asking me, hey, I'm like, go to YouTube, man. Like, here's some links to other people. But they wanted something that was different because there's a lot of workshops out there. There's beautiful, brides in dresses, grooms in their suits and tuxes. There's decor, and people want all this beautiful stuff. But people kept asking me, they didn't want that anymore. They wanted something that was storytelling focused. And I'm like, I was trying to deny, kind of just say no as long as I could. But when I went to Mexico, and I'm like, I'm going to do it here. And so I reached out to my people, and they all agreed to be a part of it. And it'd be January on the 15th next month.
Yeah. That you got like 4 weeks.
Yeah, plane tickets been booked, hotels been booked, and what sucks is like the night it finishes, I have to catch a flight at 1 a.m. for the Kenya wedding. So
Only you.
no, my bride, she changed the date without telling me.
Wait, what?
Wedding was supposed to be back in August.
Oh,
but the
okay.
flights prices were like ridiculous, so they canceled everything and rebooked the date without telling me till after I had my workshop scheduled.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. Well, we're rooting for you. You'll make it happen.
Yeah.
And that Technoplanet's there.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to help out.
Part of the assignments will be right across from Technoplanet.
Awesome. Which, for those of you that don't know, Technoplanet is the store in Mexico that carries Geekoto. So they're our first partners there. So
In Polanco.
In Polanco.
Polanco, yeah.
Polanco, yeah. So yeah, so that they've got your back. We've talked to Gustav and and obviously we'll
That'd probably be my last
support
workshop
you.
though.
So yeah,
because workshops are hard, man.
I can imagine.
Like if I did it like the normal way, I'd have workshops all the time.
Yeah,
because it's profitable to do the normal way. This one here, it's not that profitable.
Yeah,
because the margins aren't really that great, and the amount of work that goes into it.
I can imagine.
I gotta go hunt for locations for assignments. Yeah, well, that's
No, definitely. Cool.
So this is the last workshop.
You heard it here. I don't know, man. I don't believe you.
I know. I don't believe you. But
I don't believe you. But let's see. Let's see what the Daka says that you never sleep.
I do sleep. With one eye's open.
He said, "Hey Teshorn, can I hear about these Geekoto tube lights you told me about?"
Who's that?
That is Sir J, the DJ.
Oh yeah, yeah. So well, we can't see it on camera. I have this the 80 and the
100.
100. Yeah, they work great. I use them I can focus on them. They even do my YouTube channel at times. That's my main lighting. Now I got panels.
Which is the lights.
The light in the studio here
that we're using here, and we got a couple of panels.
He does this photo booth stuff, and he gets some more. He gets some high dollar, cheap Geekoto knockoffs, but high dollar. But no, they work great. I have 2 of them. So when I were at WPPI this year, I was at the Geekoto booth, and I walked around with those lights. Everyone was like, "Hey, what are those?" I showed the features. Let me get one.
Yeah, no, I remember we had a lot of people. So they're on the website. We actually have our assistants here. There's one right there.
Boom.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Ask and thou shalt receive.
There you go. Yep. So yeah, it's called the lightsaber.
It's called the LS.
You know, the LS.
Disney, they are not called the lightsabers. They're called the LS 80, the LS 100, and the LS 20.
But the LS 80 stays in my bag. Because it's portable.
Yeah, it is. It is. The 100, the 100 is great, but it's a little bit, it's a little long, for to be carried around. If you're going, local and stuff like that, that's fantastic. If you're driving, it's great. Yeah. But the 80 is the one that actually people really just
it stays in my my bag.
Yeah.
The black on black bag.
Willie and Kim, what do I need to become a Geekoto ambassador, Teshorn?
Let's see here. What do you have to do? You gotta get beaten with some stripes at a German restaurant.
Oh yeah, and that has been booked already. So, and that's something we don't talk too much about that because that's only for ambassadors. Thanks a lot. The secret is out. But basically, we get this question a lot. We get this question a lot about being Geekoto ambassadors. We're very selective on our ambassadors. First of all, our ambassadors have to be clients, like you yourself. You were a client first, because we want to make sure that the people that are buying, our stuff, one, are invested, and they're not just going to tell us sweet stuff. So we don't give stuff for free until after you become an ambassador. Then how all that stuff works. But if you're invested into the company, then if something goes wrong, we want to be held accountable. So you're not going to tell me the sweet stuff. You're going to tell me, hey, this and this and this does not work, or it doesn't work, or I'm not doing it right, whatever it is. But we want to make sure that we learn from all of that stuff. So once you start buying your gear and stuff like that, you have to own it for at least 6 months before you qualify to be, I guess, on the list of for the ambassador program. So that's kind of how it starts.
They're actually good people to anybody should be happy to have for Willie and Kim.
So no, absolutely, and I think you've actually shown me some of their work, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So that's how it starts. But again, it's open to everyone, but we are pretty selective. We do have a small group of ambassadors. And the most we will ever have, currently right now, we are sitting at 8, 9, and we're going to have 10, for a while. But the most we'll ever have is going to be 20. It's going to be, 10 men, 10 women, non-binary. It's going to be in between. Everyone's included in here. Because there's so much talent out there.
Right.
But again, that's kind of how that works. Now,
yeah, if I left photography alone and had my spot open, Willie and Kim, they'd be like, yeah, they're my peoples.
Good. So that goes a long way, Will and Kim. All right, so holy moly, we've been on for an hour and a half.
Oh, really? Don't feel like it.
It doesn't feel like it. Yeah, we're having the same thing. Let me see. Let's. All right. Well, thank you. DJ says he's literally becoming a client now.
Excellent
for that. So we appreciate that. Guys, we have Teshorn here for a couple, for a little bit, longer, maybe 10 minutes or so. So please send over your questions if you do have any or anecdotes, like I said. Anything that you want to add, anything that we skipped, anything that you think would let people get to know Teshorn, better?
Yeah, I think so there's my online personality and there's the in-person personality, right? The online personality is usually all text, so people don't really, there's no tone to it. But those who get to know me, like, I'm all about my community. Like, I'm the person who I will give up an opportunity just for the next person who I think deserves it. Because when people do the work, I've always said, if you do the work, the results will happen. When good things happen to you, you shouldn't be surprised because you did the work for it. When I'm speaking all these places, I remember the first time I was rejected from a conference. I applied the following year, and I told them, if it wasn't for me, all the diversity people you're having on there on stage wouldn't be there. I'm the godfather who, brain behind it all. I started this thing, so to deny me is a slap in my face. And they were like, "Huh," because I try to stay, at the back of most things, but I'm all about the next person. I want to make sure photographers and people in general, have value. I want to make sure they have what they need to become the best they can be.
Yeah,
no matter what you're doing.
No, and again, that's something that I have always admired about you. That you've always been very open and vocal about stuff that you're passionate about, for one, and two, that you've always been very willing to give, to the community. So again, that's something that's just very admirable.
I say some harsh things at times.
Yeah,
but sometimes you need to be chastised every now and then.
Yeah,
accountable.
Absolutely. But now, so do you have your workshop in January? Do you have any other speaking engagements?
WPPI.
You got WPPI. Yeah. That's March.
March, yeah.
That's the first week in March. Anything else for next year that people need to know about?
No, unless somebody invite me somewhere and they, want to cut the right checks for me.
All right.
Yeah, because again, I've been asked to come to a lot of conferences as an attendee, and I tell them, I'm at a place where I offer value based on my life experiences in business and in personal. I want to come and add more value to it, right? So invite me somewhere. But I'm not going to come attend just to soak up information from somebody who hasn't done what I've done.
Yeah. We have a question from William Kemp. Best advice you can give a photographer in the middle of their career?
I would say assess what is it you want to do and reverse engineer it. So I studied architecture. One professor told us before, he said, if you're having a hard time designing the building or design the idea behind it, think about what do you want it to look like and work backwards.
Okay.
There's a book there called Start with the End in Mind. What is the end result and work backwards? If you want to make $1 million, well, maybe you should break down how much is that per month.
Yeah.
Then per week. Then how much you need per day. But you just have to assess what is it you really want to do. Because I know, I'm on the tail end of my career, I think. And I'm always assessing, what is it I really, what is I want to do? What is the why behind it? Because the last 10 years has been rough. Because I went full-time in 2013, but in 2012 I decided I'm going to go full-time. And I didn't have all the answers. I barely had any answers. When I was winging it, trying to figure it out. Because when I got laid off in 2011, I didn't have a plan. All I knew, I wasn't going to go back to clock in nobody's job. But I said, I'm going to figure some stuff out along the way. Because I didn't know photography was a real thing, career.
As a business, as a career, yeah.
Only photographer I saw was one who shot my wedding, but I didn't know there were conferences that you can go do workshops. I didn't know all these things. It was like sponsorships and ambassadorships. Nobody told me anything.
Yeah.
So I had to learn along the way. But now there's information so readily available, ask questions, but definitely understand and ask, what is it that you really want to do? Because you can be headed one way and you realize, I'm almost down the road, but is that the road I need to go down? If it's not too late to change it out. Let's say,
awesome. Yeah. So, okay. Sir Jay the DJ, speed round.
Oh, Lord.
Wine or cocktail?
If I had to choose, I would choose wine, but I like my Vita Malt.
Yeah. Facebook or Instagram.
Facebook.
Snickers or Kit Kat.
Snickers or Kit Kat. Snickers.
Tacos or burgers.
Black bean burger or chicken burger.
Mac or PC.
Mac.
Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most
PC is confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
those are good. Well, dude. Again, man, thank you so much, man. Thanks
My
for
pleasure.
stopping by. This won't be the last one, especially you're local, man. I was like, we've got to do a lot of these. Again, thank you guys all for staying around. It's been almost an hour and 40 minutes. They went by really, really, really fast. With everything that you guys hear, again, we would try to do these, once, twice a month with that. But starting in 2023, one thing that we're gonna focus on a lot is we're gonna start what's called Geekoto Academy. Geekoto Academy is gonna be an online education. We're gonna be doing on YouTube. You'll have our channel that you'll be able to log on. We're gonna have tips and tricks from photography from different photographers like Teshorn is, come in here and record a few things on tips and tricks, both not only just photography, like lighting and stuff like that, but also like business related stuff. We're also going to do tutorials on our gear that we have here. So stay tuned, make sure that you guys subscribe, make sure that you guys, hit the like button, be engaged. The more engagement that we get with this, the better that we'll be able to serve all of you guys. So ring that bell, subscribe to our channel with everything. And right now, I'm trying to get used to this and trying to get all of these going here. But again, Teshorn, thank you so much for stopping by this time. And I'm not gonna lie, man, I'm a fan. Dude, I'm like halfway through this thing. You're not even.
No,
what's going on?
So,
all right.
I was behind you.
Yeah, there we go. Cheers.
Be a man. Drink Vitamalt.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then
Mountain water.
And then our liquid death. Don't be afraid, guys. This is water. It's great water. I actually love this water. So, but again, thank you guys for sticking around. We are Geekoto here, and
definitely.
we
So I shared an experience. What I love about Geekoto before I became an ambassador. I remember I bought the GT400 2020, I believe, and I was shooting a wedding, and it fell and broke, and I was like, oh crap! I just bought this light, and I came to you to say, hey, I was expecting to buy it again, and you were like, here you go, you replaced it. I'm like, word? Okay. So good. So the customer service is it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and again, that's something that we want to, it's very important to us. It's very important to us. We know that we are in a very saturated market when it comes to it. But what we also know is that the saturated market's not all good.
Nope.
And we know that we're very comfortable and love the stuff that we do for photographers. I mean, again, I was a working photographer for many, many years. Now I'm semi-retired because now I'm part of Geekoto. But I also know the stuff that I wanted to have as a photographer and be able to not break the bank, which is the primary thing. And one thing that I hated was anytime that something new came out, man, I had to change my entire lighting system. And as you know, we try to tailor that into not doing that, by making our stuff compatible with so many other stuff.
Yeah. So if you're on the fence right now, I mean, I'm all about value. Like value is the number one thing for me. Value and service, and I can say value and service Geekoto is like second to none.
Well, I really do appreciate that. But again, thank you guys. Teshorn, thank you so much for stopping by, man. This was always great, like always.
Absolutely.
And we'll be here again soon. We have a little surprise in the next couple of weeks. We might do another one of these. We have a special visitor from Mexico that'll be here. And if everything works out, we'll hopefully we'll have him in here. But we will be releasing our 2023 schedule of interviews. We'll probably do it about half year, and then the following year, in the second half of the year. So you guys can mark all of those in your calendars. Like I said, subscribe, hit the like, ring that little bell for that. But let's get things going. Final words for anything?
Remember, dust settles, you don't.
All right, I got it. I was like, that's very true, very, very true. So again, thanks so much, man. I appreciate it. Everything that you've done for the industry, everything you've done for the community. It has I've heard nothing but great things. We're very, very happy of you having you as an ambassador. And again, to all of you guys, help each other out and be kind, man. We need more kindness. Definitely need more kindness in this world. That's for sure. So, brother, we're out.
All right,
and
brethren.
And have a good one, guys.